It's like a little bit of stress for Doc Tova here. Wow. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon in California, iLan.
Yeah, afternoon. Afternoon. The noon is
It's
after.
Monday night. It's Monday night, Tuesday morning, Monday afternoon. We are global, and I'm breathing deeply, a little bit more with my exhale so I can activate my parasympathetic nervous system and calm down. A little bit of technical problem here at the pilot seat. Thanks, Scotty, for being here. You're always my co-pilot, Scotty. Anyway, I love to see you guys, and I'm really happy to be finally here in the pilot seat on this plane with you, Rose Hoy in Australia. I love you. Good to see you. Can you introduce our guest after you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Tova. Hi. Good morning, everyone from Melbourne, Australia. Now, we've got iLan Azoulai. Now, iLan
Yes.
would be a body, sound, and soul coach. Have you ever heard of the word abracadabra, folks? I'm sure in fairy tales you've known about it. So now we have got someone who actually explained what abracadabra means. And it means that what we... Oh, no, you say it. iLan, you say it.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Tova and Rose. It is a joy and a blessing to be here and to share what comes through. Abracadabra comes from Aramaic, from the language of Aramaic, and it means literally, I create as I speak. I create as I speak. So people are familiar for the most part with abracadabra. Here's a rabbit, right? I have a rabbit in my head. Well, it kind of derivative. I'm saying something and there is a rabbit. So that's where it comes from. And,
wow.
But the rabbit's there and not there. So he's saying, here's the rabbit, and then just go through that for me in my monkey brain.
Well, it's not about the rabbit, right? It's really not about the rabbit. It's about what we say to bring the rabbit, to lure the rabbit in, right?
Yes.
It's about what we say.
What we say, what we speak.
What we speak, we are creating frequencies. We're creating vibrations. So, yes. So everybody who is joining, thank you for joining. I'm iLan Azoulai, and I'm a spiritual mentor, an artist, a sound therapist for you, for everyone who is watching, who is ready to shift their mindset and release emotional and physical blocks, so you can live the life that you want to live.
Amen.
And manifest. So my big thing is about manifestation, and manifestation can happen when that area that you want to manifest is really healed, is really in a conscious place within ourselves. So that is what I do, and I use Tibetan Balls, I use sound frequencies, I use different ways of emitting frequencies, and sound is the ultimate medicine for the body and soul. I'm a firmly believer of that.
iLan, could we elaborate on that a little bit and talk about the fact that we've got an energy level in our bodies, and it's described in hertz, and what the sound does is it lifts the hertz, the HERTZ, not the HURTS. And what happens within that system is that the feeling of depression and shutdown is actually lifted. So when we've got somatic pain and we change our hertz, we actually drive the pain out, away. Now, I'm a midwife originally, and, in the neonatal intensive care, we always have music going, and it's a very important part of feeling safe. So, iLan gives us a whole new scope to think about. We have all the somatic tracking and all the other things going on, but sound and music and etc. is not actually out there very much in the mainstream, and it becomes part of us because we are actually earthlings. We're not sort of from outer space, and we're part of that earth vibration. So iLan has actually tapped in on that. Now, also, audience, if you've got headphones, if you can put them in, because iLan will actually give us some sound to vibrate within our bodies, and it's just a wonderful feeling to allow that vibration, it's sort of almost like While I was actually talking to ilan previously, I thought, we're made of water, most of us, or most of our bodies is made of water.
70%.
And of course, yeah. And of course, what happens when we hit a pebble, say, on the water, it vibrates. So when a sound hits us, it also vibrates through our bodies. So thank you, ilan, for exposing this part of recovery and good health and well-being. And I love the idea that abracadabra, we actually can make it happen by actually tuning in to the earth sounds. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank God for the opportunity to be in this space. You go through life doing whatever we do, and we wonder, why do we do what we do? Sometimes, to learn later that everything that we do really is to serve is accumulative towards the goal and towards the purpose of what we do, why we do. And for example, working with sound, everything that I've gone through, everything that I've experienced, including or especially the traumas, are those who are the building blocks of my understanding of what I do today, and how I can be in service to others, for others, actually. And so it's interesting that you said you talk about water, and I'll talk about that. But I want to start first. I want to touch upon the concept that when I meet people, one of the gifts that I received is to meet people exactly at the intersection in their life, an intersection of whether they are beginning or in the midst of a nucleus change, a fundamental shift in their perception. And I feel that one of my callings is to be here standing in that intersection and guiding people through in a healthy, mapping experiences unattached to certain situations or emotions, so they can heal and manifest. Because if we look at let's look at our body. Think of our body like a musical staff, or a symphony. Look at our body as a symphony.
That's even better.
The different functions. There's there's 12 systems, I think 12, and so the different functions of all the systems are different sounds, different vibrations.
Yeah. So I want to explain what you're saying in an analogy, right? So look at our body as our existence as symphony. You have staves, you have flutes, you have horn sections, you have all these kind of things. You have the piccolo, right? You have 300 orchestra members, but suddenly you can hear the piccolo. Why can you hear the piccolo? Because nobody else plays that frequency and sound at that particular moment in time. Now, let's say somebody is missing a note, and everybody is playing, but that person or these two people are playing half a note down. Suddenly we have a dissonance. Suddenly we have
What's the dissonance?
A discord, something that doesn't sound right. In musical terms, I don't have that. In musical terms, when the most dissonant and the most unpleasing sound, between is a tritone. I forgot the word for a second. Is a tritone. Okay, is the min'ad. באנגלית min'ad. The difference between the letter C, the note of C, and the note of F sharp. That's 3 whole tones. This is a tritone, and this is the most dissonance. You hear ambulances in Europe goes na 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 na. That's very it's discording. It's not pleasant. Purposefully to keep your on. So when, like in music, when you have a progression going from da la 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 la, you're waiting for a resolution. Boom, right? So when our body is missing a certain frequencies, and those frequencies that are missing or being skewed, okay, happens, and that could happen from different things, especially from traumas. That is affected in our voice, then our body the brain is sending messages to the body. Listen, we're missing something, and that transforms into disease, stress, anxiety, and all these kind of things. Okay, tumors, all these things. And so what is happening, we're looking at the body from two aspects: from the frequencies that come from outside of us, from the universe, and the frequencies that in our body. And our body, the sentence, as it is above, so it is below, right? Literally, our body is a representation of the world, of even the distances between galaxies and stars is representation between our organs distances in a minuscule
What a
scale,
beautiful
of course,
concept.
Yeah.
right? So when something is missing, it's being manifested through depression, anxiety, all kind of diseases.
Somatic pain.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
applying certain frequencies and understanding that frequencies and sound is math, right? Everything is math. It's a mathematical understanding. So when we figure out what is missing from the body, what trauma caused the person to be in a certain stage, then we can apply the right frequencies, even to heal the body as well. To work on the physical level, there are frequencies that are specifically for cuts and bruises, for example. But also we need nutrients for our body, because when you have a depletion in our body, okay, we understand its frequencies. So the frequency that is applied, whether it's with the sound bowl, whether it is with musical instrument creating these frequencies, is replenishing the body. And we want to take care of the physical as well, in tandem, together. So there are minerals and vitamins that will need to be taken for body to balance and to bring our body back to a complete harmony. Because everything,
Is there like a formula of vibrations and frequencies and then nutrients for different conditions or different symptoms?
yes, there are different. Everything is different. For example, I have here one sound bowl, for example. Okay, one sound bowl, and I use Tibetan balls.
Let me just bring this.
Folks, if you've got headphones, put them in.
So now, put your headphones in, just for the sake of experiencing and hearing it.
Me as well.
If you want to.
One
Definitely.
second. Savlanut. Rock Rega.
Rega.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm moving slow.
That's okay. So this frequency, I'll play it a few times so you'll get right in the middle of it. So this frequency, 285 hertz.
So just tell the listeners why we're putting headphones on.
So I'll go a little technical. I'm trying to be less technical, but I'll see how it goes. So our phones, we are connecting now via a computer, going to the internet. I'm using a microphone. There is a computer, then it comes to you. Then you're listening it through your phone, most likely, or even through your computer. But your phone is more of a problem, because the frequency, the microphone and the speaker of the phones is cutting certain frequencies down, certain overtones of the frequencies. The overtones are also frequencies. So, for example, if I'm playing this bowl, which is 285 hertz, okay, this is what you will hear. So this frequency is targeting bruises and cuts on our skin. So what it does, it sends messages to the brain and to the body to rebuild the cells. Now, with this example, it is not really a long enough or something that will cause a significant change just from these few seconds that I've played it. It's a consistency. It's applying it. It's working through that. It's going through a session and doing maybe a few sessions, and then supplementing it with additional self work. And self work, for example, can be frequencies that you can go on YouTube, for example, and I'll talk about those, and I'll give maybe one or two of those, and that you can listen to it while you go to sleep. Okay, people that come here and people that I work with are many times afraid to fall asleep because, I'm coming to a treatment, I don't want to miss anything. It's like when you go to a massage, you say, I fell asleep during the massage. I wasn't conscious during the massage. I wasted an hour. Well, this is actually one of the times that it's good that you go to sleep. Wow. I tell them, listen, if you go to sleep, it's totally fine. It's actually better because when the body is asleep, when you are under, your body has no resistance. So you receive everything. Okay, you receive everything. That goes to
something we said last week in our show, and I'd like to hear your comment. Why, when we wake up, are some of us in more discomfort? They say because it's the closest to the unconscious. Do you remember that, Rose? What? Yeah.
I'm not.
Does that make sense, Rose?
When you wake up, you're what?
Many people wake up and they're in more discomfort. Mm-hmm. Would that be something about the sleep and the wake up and maybe the dissonance of that, those two?
So, sound, I use sound as a tool for the analysis of how we operate and to bring coaching and assistance in navigating through all these situations that we're going through. So before we wake up, just like in Judaism, when does the day start really? When does the holiday starts usually every time? In the evening before the day.
Sunset, yeah.
Right? So it's important to see how we go to sleep. So before we wake up, we go to sleep. So what do we do when we go to sleep? Do we watch, we fall asleep to news? Do we fall asleep to some scary movie? Do we fall asleep to any kind of thing that is
like the nighttime routine needs to maybe...
Nighttime routine. There are many things that can be done to cultivate this good amount of this good sleep. Much of this, why people wake up not in a comfortable place inside, is because the spirit was unsettled during the night. And many other things, also physical. You may have been snoring, so you don't have enough oxygen to your brain, so you wake up with a headache. You may not drink water before you go to sleep, and it's very important to drink a glass of water before you go to sleep and a glass of water when you wake up.
Wow.
One of them is to regulate blood pressure, and the other one is heart function. So, because think about it, you're going to be sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours with no water. You're drying up, especially if you're sleeping with the heat on. You're being dried up. I never sleep with the heat on. I don't care how freezing it is, or our blankets. I don't go to sleep with the heat on. I leave the window open. It's to create this environment.
He lives in California, folks, by the way.
So
not in Melbourne.
Are you hinting to the fact that we are in La La Land?
No. Let me say something. This is so interesting. So, because I think our experience in the world we walk in, it's all usually about some of Joe Dispenza's work or Bruce Lipton's work. And there was this, about the energy and about resonance, and he would have a meditation. It would be like these sounds. Mm-hmm. And now I'm understanding more of this.
Yeah.
So I think that I kind of want to bring it more to basics, like talk more, please, because obviously Kelly understands. Kelly's amazing. He comes on every week with all these different Is this your Body Soul Sound Connect?
Oh, Kelly
Is that
posted it.
you?
Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly.
Yes.
Do you know Kelly? Kelly's
No,
amazing.
I don't
Oh,
know Kelly.
anyway, he's like a secretary. He like comes on. He's always ready to be the best secretary. So I think what I want to understand is, again, the energy, the fact that we are energy, our thoughts are energy. But I go back to the brain. The brain is now getting a message to heal a wound through the vibration. What's happening is, can you just maybe break it into words? The brain is sensing something, and then it's creating healing. It's like this calming flow of chemicals to my cut, because the brain got a message of a response and a calming.
So, okay. So the brain receives impulse patterns, okay, that can be measured. What are the impulse patterns? When you hear something, when you have a thought is creating a frequency.
Wow.
Right? And so even the thought is creating a frequency. Not to talk about the voice, and I'll talk about the voice, because the voice is a big part of what I work through. The vocal profiling, how the voice is a representation, really, of everything that is going on within us. Sometimes we don't hear it. So much of it. Think about creativity. You cannot really prove creativity, right? You can see the patterns that creativity allows.
The results of creativity.
Exactly. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here.
Wow.
So you can see the results. Similar, like you cannot see Wi-Fi, but it is there. You cannot see a laser beam, but it'll definitely point.
You cannot see gravity.
You cannot see gravity, right? There are many things that we cannot see with our physical eyes, but they're there. It's think about the Matrix. We talked about the Matrix just before that, the film. You know, if you are awake and you see, and you're able to see things, you'll be able to see colors. Like I would see colors. I would see colors on people. I would see certain things. I would talk with somebody, and if there something is going on, I may receive an information that has to do particularly with that person. So we cannot see these things, right? We can only see what is happening, or the patterns that are created to facilitate what is transpiring, right?
Yeah.
And so when we are in a certain kind of stress, right? I'll give you an example. A week ago, several days ago, I twisted my knee, right? Doing something, doing a training. I twisted my knee. So I'm using a few balls to put on it, in addition to.
You're touching your knee with the ball?
Yeah. So so the difference
with the vibration, with the ball being vibrating, not just
Okay.
Yes. So, and I will talk about this because it's very important. So I've seen a tremendous shift. The fact that I can also start walking, and there is no any invasive procedure that I want to do, any kind of an operation or something, because a meniscus thing, and but it's been greatly improving. So I would say, with God willing, in a few days I'll be fine. And it wasn't like this in the past, because my other knee had the same thing several years ago, many years ago. And at that time, I did not have the understanding or the knowledge or the everything that where I am today. So I went through the regular route. And I was going into a hospital and a surgery and that. Took several months for that to heal. Okay, there are many case studies that we've been through, and showing how sound heals and how people respond. I was working on a stage 4 cancer patient that her daughter asked me to come and bring some relief, because it was really her last few days, they really didn't expect her to last very long. And she was taking medications every 2-3 hours for pain. And so just an hour of sound session helped her not to take medication for an entire day and a half, like 30 something hours. Not at all. No one. She passed away, unfortunately, few days later. but she was able to communicate. She was able to talk. She was able to be, should have been there earlier. Maybe things would be different. I don't know. Right? What I can say is what happened, and this is what happened. Rose, you talked initially. You start bringing up about the water, right? Water, and some of you may know the experiments of water that Professor Masuro Emoto did, the Japanese professor, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the notion is, he took, for those who are not familiar, real quick, he took two groups of people with two groups of water in different rooms. One group spoke positive words and encouragement words and love words to this water, froze it. The other group spoke negative words, condescending curses, so that froze it. The first group of water created the ice created a beautiful geometric shapes, like diamonds, and the other one was just brown splat, just like that. So the question is that is fascinating. If we are more than 80% water, and water is affected, how do we talk to ourselves and how we affect ourselves when we talk to ourselves? And and one sentence leads to the other. When we start talking negative to ourselves, we're automatically starting to dispose ourselves in a certain situation. So it drags another thought. Oh, what if this would be? Oh, what if? Oh, I probably won't be able to do this. Oh my God, I don't want to think about that. Well,
we call it ruminating,
right? The same thing on the positivity, right? We say there is a great thing. There is. I manifest something, and I'm today in the place where I manifested so many things that I wanted that I wasn't able to do that, and it's fascinating. I'm saying if I can do that, everybody can do that because we all have the tools.
I'm going to interrupt you like a good Israeli. So isn't it like? But then aren't you doing then what we're helping people with, and what so then if you keep. You get the vibration, you get the energy of the sound. Your body begins to have a placebo effect, or we're creating a new pathway. So the sound is a tool and an instrument to help you change character, learn new habits, create a new pathway. Is that kind of where we go with it?
We can go there. The sound is really an analysis to tell us what's going on. And it is at the same time an analysis tool, and at the same time it provides the healing, it provides the rejuvenation. So sound is the only modality that really can tell a facilitator or a coach what is going on in your body without you even saying so, without you even.
You're talking about the voice now.
I'm talking about when somebody comes. And I work with them with the sound balls, and I work with them with the systems, right? The way that the body responds, because the body responds every time. The body responds to the sound. So the way that the body responds, the person lies down, and I can see how the body is responding. And if the energy, if the sound or the frequency doesn't transmit from top to bottom, and it gets stuck in the middle, then I know that there is some kind of an emotional traffic jam there.
So it's helping you diagnose in a way.
I'm sorry?
Not diagnose, it's helping you diagnose what's wrong, or
yes, it tells me what's going on. It tells me what's going on. For example, if I work with somebody and they have something going on the right foot, right? So other parts will twitch in the foot that will tell me, for example, everything is different. I'm just giving a kind of a generic
picture.
Yeah. The body will twitch, or the foot will twitch, or and the frequency doesn't go down. And many times when the people wake up, come out of where they are, of the meditation, that is, because it is meditation, there is I call it guided imagination in the beginning, to navigate the person to a certain place, to allow the sound to come in, and allow the sound to go through. But the person will remember what was happening for the most part. They will remember, say, oh yeah, I can felt maybe stiffness here, or I didn't feel that the frequency was traveling. I felt like it got stuck somewhere. And I could tell when I could tell when it gets stuck and where it gets stuck. So then we go on Gesundheit. And so, and then so then we go and then I look at that. And there are different ways. There are different ways to work with what is going on. So there are Tibetan balls, and when I work with the Tibetan ball, the difference between this and crystal ball, for example, the glass balls are manufactured. Tibetan balls, for the most part, are handmade, are handcrafted, and they omit several on a strike. I hear two frequencies, but on top of that, those are the main frequencies. But on top of that, there are overtones, similar like in music scale. There are overtones when I click on the sound,
Right.
and the way that I work, I make the balls available for the touch of the body. So I place the balls near, on, around, sometimes under, because I work with water as well, and I'll get to that. But the body can also, not just the auditory systems are being activated, but also the physical. The body is feeling the vibration. So if I click on this, for example, I feel the vibration in my body.
Wow.
Right? I feel the vibration in my body. And so I'm also receiving the sound through my auditory systems, and I'm also receiving the sound through the vibration. Now, when working with water carries sound 7 times faster and stronger. Right?
Wow.
So if you're if you're going on a vacation and you got an Airbnb on an edge of a lake, for example, right? And 100 feet from you or 200 feet from you, there are other people that are on an edge of a lake. They may hear you, what you're saying, what you're talking.
Oh my God.
You know,
because it skims across the top. It skims.
It goes with the water. It goes in the water. Water has memory. So the experiment that Professor Emoto did really proves that water has memory, right? So when I work with water, when I work with people with water, the effect is stronger.
You mean you're in a pool, or you're in a pool?
It can be in a pool, yeah.
Wow.
And the balls have water in them or not, depends on the situation, depends on what I need to do or what I want to do. And so the person will be in a pool, but with floaties, so they're staying up, and then the balls are placed. Each ball has a different function, has different frequency, has different intention, depends on what I see and what is happening with the person that comes to see, that comes to talk about that.
I'm just going to stop you again for a minute. I'm just fascinated why you chose this Derek, this road, this path, because obviously you study other things, but this was something that drew you personally. Like Rose was drawn to being a nurse and a midwife, and like we're all drawn for a reason. Like, can you share? Because you're the first person that I've met doing this, and I imagine now it'll be like pink cars. I'll start to meet a lot of people doing it.
Yeah, right. Suddenly you pay attention. Suddenly you are aware of that. So now it'll come to you, right?
Could you share about that?
Yeah. Well, sound. Sound has been here since ever. We're created 10 utterances. The world was created, right?
Wow, 10 utterances. Wow.
Yeah. Right. What is the first sentence that God said when He walked into the room? Let it be light.
Let there be light.
So we take the chemical compound of each letter, Aleph, Vav, Resh, that created the light, not the sunlight, but the light that is the eternal, the light, right? And so, okay, but to me, well, I started as a musician at the age of 10. I really fell in love with one of Israel's most prolific composers, and he was growing up. He was my hero, he was my everything, and I knew I want to be a musician. I was fascinated by how sound and how music. It was more music than sound specifically. I was connected at first to the music, and I saw how it affected me, and especially in retrospect, I look at how it affected me and how it it guided me in different places. And what would I do when I was stressed, or what would I do when I was nervous? And what really would heal me was listening to Mati's music. Mati Kaspe is that musician, listening to his music and internalizing it and realizing that, I don't know if he's aware of that, but the sound and the frequencies and the harmonies that he created are really healing frequencies, really healing harmonies. And so that was for me for many years. Music led me to computers, actually, because I was fascinated with standing in the intersection between the human function and the digital world.
Wow, right.
And being able to, and at that time, in the late 80s, when I studied in a music school in Israel, it was they just started introducing digital analog, where you can, what we're doing now is given to you, right? Talking into a microphone that transmits it and translates it into a computer digital web. This wasn't there, right? So this is a digital analog. So the analog voice is being digitized, and it's translated, coded, and you hear it back, right, in the audio.
Wow.
So that time they just started. It was just starting. There was latency. So if I say, you hear? So I say this, it will come to you in 5 seconds delay. So it was kind of hard to play and to hear the delay. So I was fascinated by that, and then I've been an Apple consultant and a trainer, and building networks and systems and webs and all this kind of stuff, and being in media all the time, and cameras and photography and videography and all this, and then in the last 12 years ago, I met a shaman. who I apprenticed with for about 7 years, and during that time, I'm working with plant medicine, which I also do today. I work with psychedelics and plant medicine, and then I start going back to where I was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, younger than when I started music, and also overlapping, I would receive messages all the time. I would have conversations. With, I don't know, for me it was normal. But it would, I talk even today, I talk to myself and to all 13th of me. I thought, but when I was a kid, it was very
in a couple languages.
What was that?
In a couple different languages also.
Yeah, right. And so as a kid, I would have that. But because I grew up the way I grew up, my father was a chief of police at that time. And it was a very harsh environment where I grew up. So it was shut down. I didn't, I would be suddenly ashamed to be in these places where people see me, say, "Hey, Ilan, who are you talking to? You gone cuckoo again?" And all this kind of stuff. My parents at that time didn't know what was going on. And didn't have understanding, and that generation, and it's because they didn't have the access. This is what it is, really. We didn't have access to all these tools, which we had since beginning of time. We had these tools, and so when I started working with a shaman, everything came back, boom, in a heartbeat. Wow. Everything came back, and I would see things. I would relive traumas that I had. I remember things that I didn't remember when I was prior to working with going through this part of my journey, and the sound, working with Tibetan Balls, was a natural for me, because I was yearning to be in music again. I was yearning to be for the sound, for music, for creating, and sound, and suddenly I met this teacher from India who manufactured the balls and also certifies in sound balls. It's an institute in India that I went through several workshops to understand the details of working in sound.
Very detailed learning. It's the details, and it kind of feel a little overwhelming to me. Like, wow, you have to really want to do this to learn.
Yeah. So, but I use it as a tool. Tool. It is not the end of things. It is not the final. It is not the final part of the journey, but it is another tool in the journey. that I'm doing, that I am in helping people in understanding, and because I'm certified also in CBT, in cognitive behavioral therapy, in NLP. I've studied a lot of Kabbalistic classes, shamanism, and combining with music and art and photography and video. I have the podcast, my that you've been on, Abracadabra, create what you speak. So so everything started coming. Now, what happened is, when I lived in Boston for about 15 to 16 years before I came to La La Land, to LA. And I have also, and I created, back when I was working with the shaman, I created a tea line. It's called High Tea, for higher state of consciousness, which is only plants and herbs that I sift through and I put together, the formula that I created. And it supports the work with sound. The plants, just like the sound, just like frequencies that are associated.
Would you compare it to medical marijuana?
Well, that's a plant too. That's a very healing. Every plant, we have everything here. We have all the healing properties on earth in this beautiful harmonic bowl that we made it cacophony. We are the dissonance in Earth's frequency.
Well, I love that.
We are the dissonance in Earth's harmony. Let's put it this way, right? We created this dissonance by the fuels and robbing and raping Earth. Really, it's just not understanding that we have everything, and we will have more power and more ability to affect when we come together. Because when we come together, we're creating this symphony, right?
Whoa!
Right? We create a symphony, and so I believe that. I live it. It is unbelievable when we understand that. But our inclination is to separation, is to isolation, is to the human ego, is creating separation and fear factors, the scarcity. How many people live today in scarcity mode? I know there. I've been to that movie. The actor dies at the end. I promise you. So,
well, we're all alive and we got through it. So there's hope.
It is. I just want to read. I think somebody posted something.
Yeah, Gina. I want to bring Gina's post.
Oh, hello, Gina. Gina is my Gina
I know Gina was on your show when I was there. So, but see, Gina has good questions. Vocal profiling is brilliant choice of words. Everyone has a different perspective of who we are by our voice expression. Do you feel how we hear our own voice can affect our self-judgment and our well-being? Bingo, Gina.
Bingo, Gina. Gina is great. Gina has these questions like, bam, right? So, absolutely. One thing's in manifestation that I talk about, and it is not just to think about something. And of course, there are several steps, but it's important that we also hear what we say. What Gina is referring to is vocal profiling is something that I work with, and it's part of bioacoustics engineering. And what it is
profiling.
Vocal profiling. Vocal profiling is taking a sample of our voice, of your voice, and I analyze it in a system that.
So you tape, Rose would talk for a minute, and you tape it, and then you would analyze.
30 seconds is enough. Yes, I will give you, for example, a few guidance on how to speak and what to speak and what's going on, and then I will take that sound, that voice, and we'll feed it into the system that will mathematically analyze where this voice is and how it is in relation to what you feel and how you are and what you believe in and how is your body health and all this. And it will show, because our voice is affected by our traumas, for example. Now, what Gina is referring to, from what I understand, is, let's say there is somebody is saying something, and I will take me for example, right? I will say something. I've been, as a child, I've been sexually abused. I went through a lot of abuse, and so that is in partial today reflected through my voice. Okay, it is reflected today less than it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 5 years ago, right? I could tell the difference because I could hear the intonation changes and I could hear the frequency changes. But what is happening is that the voice is being affected. So let's take that, what I was talking about initially, the harmony, right? Oh, that our body is like a circle. There we go, circle. Right? Something, the trauma created a tear. Right? The trauma created a tear. Now,
how lovely, how beautiful. What a lovely way of describing it.
yeah, it created a tear.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Created
there,
a tear.
so in your, like, where
Your
did it
psyche.
In
create?
my harmonic, in my body, in my physical body, but especially in my psyche, right?
Okay, could I also interrupt?
Yes.
Just put that circle up again. You see, it's red. It's not quite the same shape as a heart, but you can symbolize it as a tear in your heart.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, I could do it as a heart. I'll break it. Never mind.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yes. So it is like you took a slice off. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take, for example, and this is great because I work with that in relationships. Sound work, the work with sound is a tool to work on any issue. And I use sound as an initial tool before we dive into our psyche and finding out what's going on, why it's going on, and who is creating what is being created. So,
Wow.
so I may not hear that tear. I may not hear that tear in my voice. Why? Because I can. Our hearing is the minad. I'm still trying to think about the. Our hearing is from 20 hertz.
I'll Google translate it.
Yeah, minad. Yeah, I all the time use it and something like minad is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's our human.
Okay.
Our
Frequency.
That's our human window, what we can hear.
Yeah.
From 20 to 20.
Like a dog has
limit.
Yeah.
Maze? What do you say, Tova?
Like our limit of what we can.
Yes.
Do me a favor, Tova. Type in Google Translate minad. Mem nun ayin daled.
Mem nun
ayin daled.
Mem. Okay.
It's between one note to another. Let's see who's.
Mem.
Gina says scars from tears are God's tattoos. Mem nun ayin daled.
Yeah, that was beautiful. What I'm going to put up what she said. Okay, destination.
No, mem nun.
Oh, mem nun.
Nun ayin daled.
Mem nun ayin
daled.
Daled. Range.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So our range is from 20 to 20, right? So now I cannot hear that. So the computer, the system will analyze everything and will tell me to the details, even if I'm speaking the truth, if I believe what I'm saying, if my speech is connected to maybe I live in La La Land and I believe in a fairy tale, but I believe that.
Is this like the lie detector test?
It's like a lie detector test, kind of thing. That's an aspect. That's another aspect of working with sound, right? And together with that, the analysis will tell me also what minerals, what enzymes, what vitamins you may need, together with what frequencies we will apply. Now, to make it even more concise, think about the music scale: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? This is the same like the chakras. The 7 chakras, well, we have more chakras, but the 7 chakras are the energy centers are the 7 scales. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I was a scaler here. I was sharp, but that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so the system will analyze that. Another way of working, there is what is called dual tones. Okay, so for example, I will let's say we hear from 20 to 20,000 hertz, and if I want to get to induce 4 hertz, which is theta state, it's a very low frequency. Theta state, when we're going into a theta meditation, is between 4 to 9 hertz. That range, right? So how do I create that? But I cannot hear 4 hertz or 5 hertz or 8, 9 hertz. So I would have two separate sound bowls. One is 209, for example, and the other one is 204. What the brain is, and you play them both. And what the brain is doing, the brain automatically draws the range between 205 and 209. So I get, in my brain, I hear the 4 hertz without any other auditory systems, because I hear it in my head. So our body is this magnificent, this unbelievable, and we haven't tapped into its full capacity, obviously, because if we would have, we would at least be like these monks that are being initiated, sitting on the top of a mountain, of a frozen mountain, and just by meditation emitting 30 feet radius of heat that melts the ice. You know, if we would be at least there. So there are different tools to bring our body closer to the healed vibration. All right. So there are many ways now when manifesting, when working about how do I want to get what I want to get, you know. So when I was in Boston still, I started this T-line. I was telling you about the T-line. I was in a very, very low place in my life. It was a very very difficult time because I was going through my journey. All my shadows was coming up. Everything was coming up. All old things that weren't healed, patterns that suddenly I noticed. Oh my God, where was I? What was I doing? Right? So it was like, so at first it started with judgment, because that's where I came from. I came from a place that was judging. So I automatically went to that place, recognizing what was happening, and I was judging myself, not recognizing that I'm using the same tools that I escaped from to discover these new. Eventually everything would even out. But what was happening is I had this understanding about the tea. I got this download and what I need to do. But I had on one side of my shoulder, I had this little guy tell me, iLan, come on. What is you doing? Nobody knows about you. Nobody knows of you. You're going to create a tea. Nothing's going to happen. It's just whatever. Go do something else. And then the other side said, come on, give the universe a chance to bless you. Give the universe and make it happen. Give the channel to be open so you can experience abundance. At that time, I wasn't. Anyway, I decided to do that. To put the tea, to put the first formula together, to create, to taste it, to put it in a bag, to
call
seal.
it high tea. It's high tea by iLan Azoulai.
Azoulai, yes, high tea. Yeah, and it's on my website. It's on my Facebook, and you have it there. And I love this. I say it all the time because it's an example. And so the minute I put the sticker on the first bag, and I have a video of it, I will never forget. I felt stupid doing it even when I was preparing the tea. And as I put the first sticker, within a minute, I got a text for a woman here in California whom I've done a ceremony for months before, asking me for 20 bags for her women's circle. Right?
It's almost like an unreal, like fairy tale.
No, it is a fairy tale. You know, fairies are great, by the way. Fairies are great.
Real.
You know? Yeah. And you know, so those things. So that created a small win, right? That created a small win.
So you like a win, like that's energy. That's resonance.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? A win. It's not a win against something, but it's a win against my own judgment.
Yes.
It's like saying, oh wow, it works. So when we do something and it works, we get energy, we get pumped, right? We get pumped when we have a good meeting, when we have a good broadcast, when we have a good conversation, we're getting pumped. And so that created slowly one after the other. But and these days, you know, in the last year since I've been in LA, things started to manifest one after the other. Even the people that I want to be around, even the people that I'm inviting, because we are. Now let's talk about ours rather than just the science that is out in the books and everything. But us, you know, how do we grow effectively? We really need to nurture our breeding ground. That's an
important thing. Like I want to just mention. I just want to stop you for a minute because I want to mention that, Rose and I meet people that have so many opportunities to grow, and they do grow. And then one thing happens and they're down for the count and they don't understand it. So it's like, meaning, what you're doing give people a foundation that they can fall and get up? Because, that's just it. Like, it's not like this, it's like this.
That's right.
And I think that's right. I think it's about, sound as a tool, and ISTDP as a tool, and TMS, theory, and, safety threat. Like, we have these great, amazing tools. We're hearing so much growth, and many people are getting it, and then some are getting it and falling, Some are getting it and falling and not getting up.
What's important in falling is getting up.
Right.
Right.
But they're so beating themselves up, like Gina Ann said, for falling, they can't get up again. Yeah,
I understand, and it's a common thing. We've all been there, in one shape, form, or the other. But what I like saying and working with people to internalize that is that, think about climbing a mountain. You're climbing a mountain, right? After 100 feet, you have a little dip, right? And you're sitting and relaxing. And the dip is a little lower than, it kind of goes like this, and it dips, right? And then you say, okay, I had my breakfast. Okay, now let's continue. You're continuing to climb up, and the 200 feet, another dip. You go up 300 feet, you have another dip. The third dip, it is a dip, but it's still higher than the first high.
Right? I love that. You get
so
that?
we're always that. Our goal. When people ask me, how do I know that it is what is good for me? It's like, does it serve your goal? Do you see that in mapping your experience? And this is the main part of really the work, is to map our experiences, to look at our experiences with a detached approach. So understanding that our goal is going somewhere, and there will be pull and push. We can't be in one place static all the time. We're all the time like that, right? We swim. We're like fish. One time it's left, one time it's right, but we are going to a certain direction. The fins of a fish go like this, right? Like a shark goes like this, left and right, but it keeps going straight. You say, how is it going straight if it's left and right? It's like, it's the right. When you are the right, it balances to the left, and when you're on the left, it balances to the right. Right. So,
Rose, do you want to say something, Rose?
Yeah, I want to say a lot, but keep going.
Go ahead. Please say a lot.
Go ahead, because I can talk until I'm blue in the face.
All night. Go ahead, Rose.
I'm not blue in the face.
Well, one of the things that iLan did before was he spoke about the fact that he created this tea product, and as he spoke, I don't know if you audience noticed, but as he spoke, his body became energized. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what happens with us. Our hertz, if you want to call it HERTZ, I'm talking about, go down with our self-talk. And I'd like to actually draw that out a little bit more so that the resonance in the body becomes flattened. Excellent. When you have somatic pain, it becomes more and more flattened. And when he used that bowl before, I don't know if you noticed, but even as we listened in other countries, with or without these headphones, it actually resonated in our bodies. And I just want to draw that together. Excellent. To see that the self-talk, he was talking about he was talking about the voice and how he measures the voice. But I also realized as he was speaking that we